Thanks so much for joining us here on your Thursday at noon. I'm Brooke Hash. Tensions extremely high in Minneapolis, where a woman was shot and killed by a federal immigration agent while inside of her car. We'll show you that incident and a warning to viewers of those that may be hard to watch. Protesters clashing with law enforcement outside a federal building this morning, as there are now calls from the public and local leaders for ICE to leave the city. ABC's Armando Garcia is in Minneapolis.
A clash between protesters and law enforcement outside a federal building in Minneapolis today. Pepper spray deployed at demonstrators demanding immigration enforcement leave their city. One man seen overcome, kneeling on the ground while getting medical help. The unrest coming one day after an immigration agent shot and killed 37-year-old Renee Good. In this disturbing video, Good behind the wheel of this maroon Honda SUV in the street, appearing to block the road. Federal agents shouting demands, an ICE agent grabbing the door. She backs up and puts the vehicle in drive. Then, an agent standing in front of her firing multiple rounds, including through the windshield. From this other angle, you can see the officer in front of the SUV. As the car turns away and moves forward, shots fired. The Trump administration saying the shooting was justified, that the agent feared for his life.
She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism.
Some local officials saying Good posed no threat. 2,000 federal officers have been deployed to Minnesota in recent days.
It's outrageous. It is a predictable, foreseeable outcome of the dramatic escalation of forces by the president.
Armando Garcia, ABC News, Minneapolis.
We have learned schools are closed in Minneapolis both today and tomorrow. Back here at home, let's take a look at our forecast because we know, Austin Evans, things are about to change. We've had pretty much cloudy weather all day today, but the rain is on the way.
Yes, rain is on the way. We'll see a little bit of it tonight. It'll really pick up as we head through your Friday and into very early Saturday. But right now it is cloudy. It's warmer than average, though I am seeing out the window a little peek of some sunshine. And what's next is that rain moving in overnight. It'll continue into tomorrow, and then we're going to cool off quickly for the weekend. Here is a quick check of our Trimark traffic cameras. Everything moving smoothly there, and it's a little hazy from our Jeffersonville First Savings Bank camera, part of our U of L Health camera network. Temperatures very warm. We're in the upper 50s right now here in the metro and across Kentuckiana, mainly the mid to upper 50s, though the southern belt of Kentuckiana, even up to Shepherdsville, into the lower 60s. So we're going to continue being much warmer than average for this time of year today, tomorrow as well. The cloud cover not likely to go away anytime soon. And you can see to the west, we do have some rain on the way. We're still looking ahead to the Peach Bowl. That's tomorrow. Indiana taking on Oregon in Atlanta, Georgia. Kickoff right around 7:30 tomorrow evening. Temperatures are going to be in the mid-60s. Rain is still a toss-up, meaning it's about 50%. So you might get rained on if you're heading down that way.
All right, thanks so much, Austin. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear laid out his plan to spend your tax dollars. He also gave subtle hints about his political future when his term ends. Our political reporter, Isaiah Kim Martinez, and photojournalist Aspen Hester report from the Kentucky History Center.
Well, it was Governor Beshear's State of the Commonwealth, but it was the words American Dream that the governor mentioned more than any other, some 20, 30 times throughout his speech. And there was a little tidbit there, a little message that he gave, possibly a hint at his political future.
This is my 7th State of the Commonwealth and my last budget address in this job.
Governor Andy Beshear was not just talking to Kentuckians in his annual state address from Frankfort. He says he was speaking to the American people, too.
As leaders, we have a responsibility to reignite and refuel the American dream. For the sake of future generations, it must burn bright in the minds of our people.
Beshear, who some consider a potential 2028 presidential candidate, leaned into the national theme.
But with the challenge of tariffs, national uncertainty, and more, life's going to be a little tougher than in the past. Without action, Kentuckians are going to suffer.
The speech was also Beshear's pitch to Kentucky lawmakers. He pushed for major investments in pre-K for all 4-year-olds, housing, and a $125 million fund for rural Kentucky hospitals. as they deal with federal cuts to Medicaid.
We simply cannot allow our rural hospitals to close, and we cannot accept a future where a Kentucky woman must travel several hours just to give birth.
Of all Beshear's ideas, Republican Kentucky Senator Philip Wheeler appeared most open to the rural hospital funding.
Clearly, we want to make sure that our rural hospitals have the stability and the funds necessary to continue serving their local communities.
Something the governor did not mention was his signature economic achievement, the Blue Oval SK battery plant in Glendale, choosing to end operations in December, just months after getting started. Kentucky Senate President Robert Stivers, a Republican, is not happy about that.
That's now become the biggest boondoggle of economic recruitment in the state's history.
To close his address, Beshear gave a nod to former President Abraham Lincoln, born in LaRue County.
And like Lincoln all those years ago, Kentucky can lead the way out of the darkness and into the light. It's our job. It's our duty, and we cannot leave a broken country to our children.
The governor is heavily leaning into his vision of a revived American dream, with questions about his political future ramping up by the month. In Frankfort, Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS 11 on your side.
Kentucky's House Speaker and Senate President released a joint statement responding to Beshear's speech, saying in part, Kentucky's well positioned because of the sound, fiscally responsible policies enacted by Republican supermajorities, often overriding gubernatorial vetoes to do so. Only here on WHAS 11, a former JCPS board member has her eyes on the Kentucky Senate in Frankfort. You may recognize her, Sarah Cole McIntosh. She launched her campaign today for an eastern Jefferson County seat currently held by Republican Senator Julie Rocky Adams. McIntosh is running as a Democrat and says if elected, she would prioritize bringing more state funding to public school districts like JCPS. She spoke only to our political reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez ahead of her announcement.
When you talk about what it costs to educate, it is going to be expensive, right? There's going to be a return on investment, and if you're not investing in the students, you're not going to get the returns you're looking for.
McIntosh is a former JCPS teacher who served on the school board for 4 years. It's been 3 decades since a Democrat held this Senate seat, which includes Middletown and Anchorage. We'll have more from both McIntosh and Senator Rocky Adams during our evening newscast. Happening today, Louisville Metro Council will elect its next president. That person determines the committee structure and appoints members to chair and vice chair committees. Brent Eckerson of District 26 just finished his first term as president. The council will vote at a special meeting this afternoon at 4:30. A new bill in Indiana State House will protect you from unwanted medical procedures while under sedation. Right now, Indiana does not currently have a law that stops doctors or medical students from performing exams on you that you didn't agree to before sedation. So if Senate Bill 90 becomes law, doctors and students cannot perform rectal, pelvic, or prostate exams without the patient giving permission. Republican State Senator Michael Kreider, who wrote the bill, says it'll protect both doctors and patients. And Democratic Representative Carolyn Jackson has pitched something similar the last 5 years. She said this law is necessary.
To please pursue this. The reasons being is many people wake up and they find out that they've had these tests and they are traumatized.
At least 20 state laws requiring patients to sign consent forms before going under. Kentucky is not one of them. The bill passed out of committee by a unanimous vote of all 12. The Senate will now have to consider the bill. We'll continue to follow legislation on both sides of the river for the next few months. The best way to stay up to date is on our website, WHAS11.com. You can also download the free WHAS 11 app. The businesses at the site of that deadly UPS plane crash in Louisville nearly getting ready to go back to work. City emergency officials said all of the debris from that jet has been removed and is now in Texas being investigated. Metro Emergency Services said crews worked through the holidays to clear the site. Tony Parrott with Louisville MSD said the agency removed about 4.7 million gallons of oily water, including 200,000 gallons of oil. Also, LG&E finished the work there at the crash site. Now businesses nearby, like Quantum Inc., will be able to return to do business as normal next Wednesday.
There's still going to be some laws of the land, which are understandable, to keep things functioning properly as they open back up. But sounds like we're going back business as usual.
It is important to note the area is still not quite ready for the general public. Part of the Crittenden Drive to Knopp Avenue still has some environmental remediation going on, so access will be limited.